Fear gas. Fear gas has a base power cost of 300 and it's vulnerable to interrupt. This is what the power looks like. Now, as you channel it, being that it's vulnerable to interrupt, if somebody, whether it's a player or an NPC, lunges at you while you're channeling, you'll give them a combat immunity and they will flash blue. Fear gas inflicts the power interaction of burning, but only on targets that are electrified. Here I'm casting it and all you see is the animation for panic, which is those white circles. However, if you electrify it using either Gauss grenade or taser pull, I'm using Gauss grenade in this example, and then you apply fear gas, you will then activate burning. Burning power interaction is a damage over time. It will last for 11 seconds for 11 ticks of damage. Not only will you inflict burning, but when using this on electrified targets, you'll deal explosive damage. Now here you see that I am channeling fear gas so that you can see a damage range of 300 to 500. That is the damage that fear gas itself is inflicting. However, on this electrified target, you'll see an initial hit. There you saw 2647. That's explosive damage, and its base damage is higher when you use it with fear gas than using it with cryo foam or cryo field. As the target continues to burn or stays electrified, either one of those two, it doesn't matter, it could be and or, you'll deal more explosive damage if you continue to spam fear gas, although you would not use it that way with the advanced mechanic. So here it is again, and you see 2486. And you compare that to the 300 to 500 range, which is fear gas's ticks, you'll see the complete difference in the actual damage. The other difference in damage that I want to point out is that burning, damage over time, it always takes the name of the ability that you use to cast burning to activate it in the first place. And this example, fear gas, was used. So you'll see fear gas not only deal for a damage range of 300 to 500, you'll also see it deal a damage range of 100 to 200, and that is burning damage. So whenever you see that, that's how you separate the base, well, not the base, but that's how you separate total damage, and you can tell which one is burning and which one is fear gas. And again, burning is 11 ticks of damage. When you jump cancel fear gas, you reduce the damage that you put out. So originally, if you continue to channel like I'm doing here, you'll deal 11 ticks of fear gas damage. If you press jump or spacebar, you cancel the channeling. Now if you press it 2 times, you actually see the jumping cancel. If you press it once, you're not going to see it. So here's the normal duration of the channeling. It lasts for 2 seconds. And here is me casting it, but I'm going to press X. And there you see that the damage just stopped. Although you don't see my character jump like it used to, the damage is cancelled. The channeling is completely cancelled. The other thing with fear gas, with the power interactions, is that aside from explosive damage and setting up burning, and again, once the targets are burning, after you've electrified it to activate it, and you continue the explosive, targets that are frostbitten, either by cryo foam or by cryo field, with these two powers, when targets are frostbitten and you use them in the sequence of cryo field or cryo foam and then fear gas, although you can't see it on this sparring target, you will encase the target in an ice cube. Essentially, it's an encasement. If you are channeling and targets move in the AoE, you will encase up to 3 targets in an ice cube. But if it's just 1 or 2 and they're close, you'll encase 2 targets. Same with the third, but with a third encasement only usually happens as you continue to channel fear gas. So if you're using this also with the advanced mechanic, and you're trying to avoid this, although most burst abilities will bypass the encasement to do damage on the target inside, and because of Game Update 55's adjustment to the AM where you don't need to hit a target anyway, if it's bothering some other player, maybe they're using weapon mastery, because most weapon mastery attacks tend to not register on targets inside encasement. But for any reason, should you try to avoid encasing targets, don't use foam and then fear gas. Same thing with registering damage with the AM. Make sure that when you use cryo foam, you use it either at the very beginning or at the very end. Anytime you're using fear gas to apply burn and to register your character with a tag for the advanced mechanic, you want to make sure that you're casting either taser pull or Gauss grenade and then fear gas. Those two must be used together. And then of course you use whatever other power. Here I'll do a quick example. I'm going to use battle display so I can keep power coming. Battle display is not needed to keep the AM going. Here's foam, here's Gauss, here's fear gas, and then P dart. And there you saw my 85,000 crit. That's advanced mechanic damage. Now I'll cast cryo foam last, and you'll see the same thing. Now 39. That's advanced mechanic damage with a non-crit. I'll cast Gauss grenade, cryo foam, and then fear gas, and you'll see that P dart will not deal advanced mechanic damage, and this also applies to EMP. And there you saw no big hit from paralyzing dart. You just saw me hit for 3,600. That's what I recommend you do. That's the order that I recommend you use fear gas in when you use it with the advanced mechanic and you're using cryo foam or cryo field. Those are the only other two powers you have to worry about making sure that you cast the sequence correctly. The other thing is if you use napalm grenade, I don't recommend you do that because napalm and fear gas both apply burning. So if you use that with the advanced mechanic, one is not going to get the burning. And then of course you're short one tag and you don't deal advanced mechanic damage on P dart or EMP. Fear gas is max far range, meaning you can cast it at melee, mid range, or far range. Here I'll be at far range. I'm waiting for my crosshairs to turn red. I'll cast it and then you see the damage. Now of course with the explosive damage, same thing. Explosive damage will register as long as you are within 25 meters. The area of effect of cryo foam in both controller and damage stance is not a cone. It looks like a cone, but thanks to the efforts of myself, Penryn, and Devil during Game Update 36's adjustments to damage, we were able to convince the developers to make it far range. So here I'm standing next to these targets, and to prove that it's no longer a cone, the target behind me, which is this one right here in the front of the screen, will get fear gas. If this was a cone, it wouldn't. Neither would the targets behind me, or well, to the side of me. And then I'll cast it over here at far range, and you'll see all the target. That right there was blast adapter. That was not a control effect from fear gas. So in controller stance, you'll control and make 8 targets panic. In both controller stance and damage stance, you'll encase up to 3 targets if the channeling continues. You damage 8 targets, and you also apply the burning power interaction onto 8 targets that are electrified. So it's a multi-target power. As long as you hit a minimum of 2 targets, you'll register 2 targets worth of damage on the scorecard. If you're using this power on single target enemies in a boss fight and there's no other adds, I do not recommend you use it because this power is extremely weak compared to our other abilities in a single target situation. Fear gas only excels on multi-targets. Of course, the other thing too is that battle display, if you use fear gas, you can activate power regen using fear gas. And just to state again, make sure that when you use fear gas, you want to make sure you're hitting Gauss and then fear together, or taser pull and then fear gas together, to register yourself for a tag to deal damage with your other abilities. Now the damage from fear gas does not register on NPCs inside encasements, and the reason for that is because this specific ability is a channeling damage over time. That is the reason why it will not deal damage on targets inside either an ice cube encasement or a thought bubble encasement or any type of encasement in the game. However, as long as you're doing Gauss and then fear, or taser pull and then fear gas, whether or not you hit the target, you'll still deal advanced mechanic damage. And I'll try to demonstrate that here.
Scanning.
And then I'll go and hit these targets, and there you saw I hit for advanced mechanic damage. That obviously split. And speaking of splitting, just like all the other offensive abilities in the power set, damage will begin to split starting on 3 targets. Meaning that because it hits a maximum of 8 and it starts to split on 3, the damage you deal per target will be less. However, you will still deal 2 targets worth of damage on any damage registering application. And that includes the scorecard.